All right, ladies, I am so excited to welcome you here today with the incredible Christina Luna. Christina is someone that mentors our team. I recently had a call with her, and she has changed my perspective on so many things and just helped me understand how to navigate in life and in business. And she's completely magical. So you guys are in for a really big treat with her today. But before we dive in, I'm going to read a little bit of her bio so I can give you the formal introduction. But I just wanted you all to know that she's someone that I go to a lot. She has a Telegram channel that I listen to. She has a YouTube platform that I go to here and there when I feel like I need guidance. So she's going to be an incredible resource for all of you moving forward. So Christina is an astrological mentor. She guides creatives, entrepreneurs, and pioneers on the leading edge through the energetic landscape of the future by revealing where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going based on the rhythms of natural cycles. She calls forward the tools of our personal strategies and reinforces how these natural personal recipes we all have are best leveraged in the current climate and beyond. When we are connected to our inherent nature and become a coherent, individualized part of the whole, we are a sustainable force of nature. So through her 12 years of practice, Christina uses her knowledge of human development, archetypal psychology, observable natural rhythms and cycles, and the map of astrology to bridge any gaps in our natural coherence by speaking to groups, creating videos for the collective, writing daily astrological blog, teaching classes, and providing a depth of mentorship to a lot of female entrepreneurs, including Rebecca and myself and so many other women. So again, so excited to welcome her here. She's just been such a guiding force in my life so far, and I've only known her for a little bit. So I am just so glad to expose you all to her. So Christina, I will let you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you. And I feel so honored to be able to speak with you all today, primarily because we're always at a very important time in history. There's never like a time that's just not important, but we are in a moment that's about to change dramatically. And so whenever we're at the cusp of change, there's always so much opportunity and potential to harness that change and to be a little bit ahead of it. So in order to prepare you and for you to understand the context of what the change is that we're moving into next year, I'm going to share just briefly a little bit of when the change started, and that'll give you a context for why we are where we are right now. And literally, if you're hearing this conversation right now, I want to share that you have chosen something really important for humanity. You've chosen something really important. And that choice line actually started in 2018, 2019, but became really apparent in 2020. So let me just back up a little bit, then we'll move forward. I also have, at some point, I would like to share my screen. So if I have the capacity to do that, I'm going to share. I have some dates that you might want to screenshot, and I've got just an overview. It's helpful for me to sometimes have some structure in these types of talks. Also, do I have 90 minutes?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So it's really helpful for me to have some structure because we can go so many places here. And I always make sure I kind of have an intention of where I'm going to take everyone. So, okay, so let's backtrack. In 2018, we started a cycle that was asking and calling for our sustainability. The planet I'm talking about is Uranus. Uranus moved from Aries to Taurus, and Uranus is this planet. It's a Promethean energy. It is a planet that calls us into the change-making force. And what it would have done initially would be it would have broken down things that needed to actually change. So on a personal level, in 2018 and 19, we started having a breakdown. I'll be honest with you, that's when I started taking like personal growth seminars. And those personal growth seminars, I found deep unconscious beliefs about all kinds of things I didn't even know were at the structural level of my understanding. And they started breaking down. So it started out very personal for most of us, but it started hitting a very interpersonal space in 2020. And the way that I broke down 2020, before I even knew that there would be a pandemic, I said that there'd be quarters to the year that would set us up for something I called the bike race. I didn't even know what I was talking about until I got through the year and was able to look back. But essentially, we were all being given the keys to a vehicle at the beginning of 2020. We had finally done enough freeing of our old subconscious beliefs through 18 and 19 that by the time we got to 20, we were given those keys to this new vehicle. And from January to March, we started riding the vehicle, and we were like, whoa, this is kind of fun. It was like there was a newfound level of ability to manifest our dreams, a newfound level to create. And very quickly after we started creating, the energies were like, okay, we're going to take the training wheels off this vehicle now, and we're going to see how you create from some things that are kind of scary. So the training wheels came off, the pandemic kind of locked things down. And that, if you can kind of relate to the training wheels coming off, if you ever learned how to ride a two-wheeler, there's always that initial like, oh, what if I fall down? And then you look at the ground and you actually fall down. And so most of us were faced with some initial fears in March and April and May. And in that quarter, as creators, all of you that are here, you all chose to get back on your bicycles, whether or not you had a tater tot air fryer season where you just freaking like locked down and got depressed and gained weight, like all of that might have happened. But guess what? If you're here now, you were able to pull yourself through it, and you did not stay off your bike. That was the big turning point. Some people did not get back on the bicycle, and that was a whole choice. It was an energetic decision. And there's this by fear. Oh my gosh, the word is, oh my gosh. Okay. There's a parting of ways between consciousnesses where people were like, no, I'm going to give my power and authority to this narrative. This narrative is correct. This narrative I can trust. This narrative is scary. So the fear outwon in some individuals, and some of the creator status just rose up. It like got stronger and stronger. So we started seeing a very polarized consciousness. And then that was like the summer. The consciousness continued to polarize through the summer. And as we got to the fall, there was a choice of like, okay, I know now that I am steering this bicycle. I know now that I actually have some power over how I'm experiencing my reality. And with that intention and knowledge, we went into the fall and winter navigating like more circumstances, more things were thrown at us, more adversity, more things that we needed to respond to and create a narrative around and take our own authority on. And so in our businesses, there are people who like met the market, who showed up and like found a need and met the market. We said, you know what? Like I can tell you that this was a period of time where I had to really choose whether or not I was going to believe in myself. Like I had this opportunity to take a really nice position with a publishing company or continue to double down on what I know deeply in my heart is my calling. And it was very tempting in uncertain times to take that posh, safe route, but I couldn't. In all of my integrity, I just couldn't do it. And most of us were faced with something like that in our lives as well. So if we took the calling, that was us entering the bike race and really owning our energy and our power. And as we entered 2021, we found that our life was pretty much clear cut from the year before. Whatever we were doing in 2019, that the 2020 cleared the way for us to double down on something that we would build one step at a time all the way through 2021. And it was the year of the bull. And so it was very like grr, 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 one step at a time, pulling the soil, working really hard, like keeping the discipline, believing in yourself. And as we trudged and like did that slow momentum forward, we were offered even more power. And so in the summer of 2021, we might have attracted a situation like where we absolutely felt like we called this in. We were the one, like maybe we called in a skyrocket of success. Maybe we called in so much growth into our businesses. And we were like, whoa, but there was a challenge based on now all of a sudden we have the power to create. Now we are receiving what we're creating. And now I called it actually the summer of the shadow boss. So the shadow boss is a milestone in life when you've cultivated enough power to know that you're creating a reality and know that even whatever you're experiencing, you have to meet that. You have to meet that with all your gifts, skills, and tools. You have to continue meeting that with your power, and you have to navigate it with your highest integrity, because you know by now that you're creating. And so there's no turning back. You know too much to go back to. You can't take the bicycle off. You know too much. And so the shadow boss came when we knew too much to go back, but we were in over our heads to a certain degree. So if you can identify whatever was happening for you last summer, that shadow boss was an initiation that brought you into the fall of last year with a great deal of humility and a great deal of willingness to do things the right way, to do things with integrity, to do things to like unwind the weave, because you know that there was supposed to be a different color there. So a lot of people went to therapy. A lot of people got coaches. A lot of people stepped into peer groups that challenged them, or they're not the smartest person in the room. Like, it was humbling, and it was good, and it was growth. And I see that this is when people left their toxic job. Like, yes, I'm so happy you guys are identifying these patterns. This is why we go back, because in order for me to enroll you into what we're going to be going into, you have to know that I know what I'm talking about. Like, this is, you have to know, prove it to yourself that you know what I'm talking about. And so we step into 2022. We are humble, we're ready, and we're seeing that a lot of the things we're encountering in 2022 were very similar to what we encountered in 2021, but this time it's not your first rodeo. This time you've already passed the shadow boss. This time you don't have a big ass hole in your heart that used to make you feel codependent and lonely. You actually have this security inside of you. And that's what 2022, leading up all the way to the summer of 2023, has been cultivating in each one of us. The growth point has been in creating inner security, a security that cannot be given or taken away by anyone. It is affecting our relationships. It's affecting the way we spend money. It's affecting where we live. It's affecting the jobs that we decide to take on, or the clients we decide to receive. I can tell you, I have changed dramatically the clients that I work with, because there was a layer, there was a code of prostitute energy that was still functioning in my system to a certain degree. Prostitute energy would be like, I really don't want to do this, but I have to do it because that's how I succeed. I don't want to do this, but I don't know, I have to hustle. I have to do it this way. I have to follow this formula because it's the only way I think I'll be able to succeed. So what's changed this year is that those deep codes of insecurity have been healed in many, many different ways on many layers. And this is affecting every single area of our lives. It doesn't matter if all of you are here for like business strategy or market strategy or this is like on a personal level to every single part of ourselves. So the reason why this is so important that we find this inner security is because where we're going, we already have the keys to manifest. We already know that we're creating everything. If we already know we're creating everything, then finding out how we've created from insecurity would be vitally important, because we don't need to create from insecurity anymore. We're actually bringing a whole new paradigm of everything: relationship, business, health, love, like living generally. We're bringing a whole new paradigm of what we create on the planet and why. That's not from a deficit. That's not from insecurity. So that's why this is so important, because before we get the full on like keys and wand and like freaking top hat and all the things that are all the magic things, before we get all of that, it might be kind of good for us to find out where are the other places that would limit that greatest experience, where those might be. So this year has absolutely been the let's pull it all forward. All right, well, let's have the hard conversation. All right, well, let's like face the scariest freaking thing. All right, well, this is showing up in my kid's life. All right, like, all right, like everything that has been thrown at us this year. And I will tell you, it has been the best year of my life, not because I haven't had hard things, but because my perception has been like, oh my gosh, I don't want to resist this. Bring it on. Anything that I can possibly face within me, let's have the weird conversation. Let's acknowledge it, and let's like accept it and feel the certainty inside of me of who I really am. So we're going to go into basically July. This past July was a pretty big turning point in the energy. It was basically a moment where the pressure had been on. Well, I mean, I could get super granular. I could go back to like, okay, well, actually in June, but I want to get us to next year. So let me just sum up. We just went through an eclipse portal. The eclipse portal was designed to find any residual insecurity that was left within us. It was pushing it through the most vulnerable places. I just had a conversation with a group of people where we all talked about, what are we actually afraid of? And most of the things we're actually afraid of, they're not the things that, like, I'm not afraid of moving. I'm not afraid of like losing my partner. There's like a lot of things I'm really not afraid of that a lot of people you could call fearful things, right? The things I'm deeply afraid of are that my patterns will repeat in my child. My unconscious patterns will repeat in my daughter, like that's the shit that really gets me. And so, of course, I'm having experiences during the eclipse portal that include my daughter and myself and my child. And this is actually ultra relevant for the work that I do in the world, because literally every person I serve has this archetypal fear within them. So I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm not pausing to read the comments, but I will at the end kind of go through. And if there are any like really significant questions, will you tell me like someone's got a really significant question for this? Thank you. So the whole directive was to feel extremely vulnerable. And it's at this point, before I go into the next year, that I want to talk to you about something that I think will help you to know where you are, help you to know where your client is, like ideally where you're meeting your client, and help you to know how, moving forward, how to position yourself to serve your client in that spot. So I'm going to tell you something that I learned. I took this course called Alchemy from a teacher named Donnie Epstein. I'm giving you that information just in case it drives you like super excited and you want to check it out. Donnie Epstein, he invented network spinal chiropractic. He's like a weird little wizard from New York, and he's a strange little guy, but I learned so much from him. So I always want to say, like, I stood on this person's shoulders to share this with you. Basically, he said that there are 4 different types of pain, 4 types of pain that require increasing amounts of energy in order to actually feel. So I'm going to tell you, after I share these 4 types of pain, I'm going to tell you why it's so important to feel these pains, what the benefit for ourselves and for our clients, what the benefit is to feel these pains, and how we actually can begin growing by feeling these pains. So the first type of pain, which requires the least amount of energy, is the pain of moving away from pain. The pain of moving away from pain is like it's like putting on looser yoga pants because your stomach's bloated and not actually addressing the fact that whenever I eat gluten, it makes my stomach bloated, right? Like moving away from pain is just making myself feel more comfortable in the moment so that I don't have to face any other kind of pain involved. And there are a lot of products created to deal with this type of pain. And most of our lives are actually set up to handle this type of pain without even trying to call it out. It just doesn't take a lot of energy to deal with it. This is the kind of pain that's alleviated with like drugs, food, social media, sex, whatever, sleeping, whatever. So that's okay. Just knowing what it is important. The second type of pain is the pain of not being able to manage your circumstances. This is the pain of feeling like, I don't know where my rent's going to come from next month. The pain of, I don't have enough time to get my kid ready in the morning and she won't get dressed and we're late every morning. Like this is painful. This is reactive. It is, a lot of people get kind of stuck here especially if they're not owning a lot of their creator ability. So this pain, just acknowledge it. It's important to know. And often when we find we're stuck in this kind of pain, it's usually because our body is undernourished or we haven't cried for a while. Like we're feeling a little overwhelmed energetically. We need to freaking take a breather, cry a little bit, walk outside. We can drop into that pain even if we have accepted our creator ability, but it just requires to open our perception, get some greater ideas. My sister called me. She thought she had two choices to get out of this predicament that she was in. And her way, she wasn't able to manage her circumstances because she thought she only had two choices and both of them were bad. So she called me, it opened her perspective. And I was like, oh no, there's like 10 choices here. Like, and then it elevated her energy and she was able to move on. So the next type of pain is the pain of feeling like you should be making progress faster or you should be further along than you actually are. It's starting to get more painful. This is starting to get more relatable. So a lot of us feel this. We feel like we should be smarter than we are. We should be making more money than we actually are. We should have our website completely perfect by now, all these things, right? This type of pain requires more energy, but this, I think, is the most addictive kind of pain because it keeps us from having to face the last pain. And we can like hire more coaches and, buy more books and get more workout equipment and like get a gym membership. Like this is the kind of pain that makes us buy stuff because we think that if we buy something, if we buy this program, this is probably where a lot of our clients are stuck as well. They're trying to be better. And the reason why we're in a climate where we're all coming to greater, deeper inner security, this type of pain is going to start, this is my belief, it's going to start being a little less relevant as people become more confident. And a lot of us have leveraged this pain a lot in our marketing. I do 2023 readings for people. The pain of not making progress fast enough is usually where I meet people. And then I try to illuminate to them that you literally can't go faster than the cycles. You literally can't be further ahead than the cycles. It's impossible. We are in where we are. And so I try to meet people there, but my goal always is to remind people of their inner security so they can actually face this one. Because this is the big daddy. The big daddy, highest level of pain is the pain of feeling like you're not fully able to deliver your gifts to the world, or like you don't matter. You're not showing up enough. You're not executing your why for being on this planet. And some of us, this pain is like, I don't even know what it is. Or maybe I think I know what it is, but I sometimes feel like I'm not really on purpose. And, so this pain is a pain that we try not to, it's a soul pain. I'll be honest. This is a soul pain. Our souls came here to have some kind of experience. And I'm telling you, it's not always grandiose. Sometimes it just has to, it's like as simple as like being able to witness a moment to its absolute fullest. That could be the why that you're here to experience. That's your contribution to like fully witness somebody might be the fullest contribution that you're here to have. And yet we overcomplicate this one a lot, and we feel often like we're so busy handling the other pains that we can't even handle this one, or managing all the freaking things, or we're still not whatever. So the reason I just outlined all these pains for you is because I've learned that there is a very elegant process built in. And this is based on not only what Donnie Epstein taught me, but it's based on the cyclical, like the astrological rhythms. This is inherent in nature. And it's the surefire way to find the level of energy necessary to transform through the pain to your next level of experience. Okay. And then after I share this with you, I'm going to go into 2023. So basically, any place where we experience pain or we try to avoid pain, any place where there is pain, there's also power. And it's power that we are resisting, that we're afraid of, that we essentially are concerned that if we drop into that pain, it'll create a very destabilizing experience, that something will change, that we won't have control over. This is why it feels painful, and this is why it feels scary, because change, uncontrollable change, is something that our human system tries to negotiate all the time. But we're about to head into a huge season of change. And so I'm taking a little bit of extra time to talk about this, because it is the most like edgy way to experience life when you can master this formula. So what you can do is first identify, what kind of pain am I feeling right now? Be honest with yourself. It's okay. If you're just trying to make your headache go away, fine. Then let yourself feel it, like really feel it. And like ask yourself, like, what's under this? What's under this? What's under this? What is this really about? And it's kind of helpful actually to have someone who irritates you, maybe a spouse or a partner, someone who really gets you, like gets at you, someone who can trigger you and push all your buttons. You're going to end up picking a fight with them anyway, if you're trying to avoid pain, because people love to engage this energy. And it's not about whether or not they're right or wrong. It's just that the engagement of the pain can sometimes only happen with someone who knows you really, really well. So this could also be us as coaches, right? This could be our role. As long as we have good rapport and trust, this is a beautiful container. So we let ourselves really, really feel the truth of this pain until it's like, imagine that you're drilling for oil. You're drilling way down into this bedrock, and it's just like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then you find this huge reservoir of dark oil. That is sometimes what we find when we let ourselves dive all the way down. And in that reservoir of oil, it is pure fuel. But we can only access it if we're able to feel it. And if we're able to feel it and express the expression that it wants to express, it begins to move the energy like have you ever seen, did you see There Will Be Blood when they mine for the oil, and then when they hit it, it would like explode out, and that's how they knew? It's kind of like that. So you get down, you actually make a sound that sounds like that expression. It could be like crying, it could be screaming, it could be just like, it's a sound. This is physical. And once that starts to move, you will find that all of the energy you were using to resist the pain is now able to facilitate the movement of the energy. And this actually catapults you through something called transform. So the energy of mining down is called discover. Discover, 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 discover. Use curiosity, use belly laughing, let yourself move your physical body. Discover is a very physically uncomfortable season. And it's the sound of discover that actually gets the movement to the state of transform. A lot of us don't discover deep enough, and we try to transform all day long. So we're in the struggle of transform without enough energy to actually push through in the ways that we need to. If you study flow, there's a system in order to get into the flow state. There's actually a period of time called the struggle. And a lot of us will get into the struggle stage and we'll struggle, struggle, struggle. And as soon as we start to get to this like peak moment of struggle, we get distracted, or we like, we'll check our phone, we'll go to the bathroom, we'll get something to eat. Like we actually don't actually break through the little top part of the struggle, which opens up the pathway to the flow. And it's similar for any kind of transform. If you don't have enough energy as you're moving up, it'll, and then you go back to neutral and you won't actually make any meaningful lasting change. So where do? You go back, you create another system of, okay, and you go down deep enough to get yourself here. This is why most people end up in this neutral zone. But if you could leverage knowing what kind of pain you're having and why you're having it, you dive deep down, the amount of energy will catapult you through, and then you'll be in the next stage, which is the stage of awaken. This is a stage where there's so much energy. You can see multiple possibilities. You can be so creative. You can actually create something in your reality that's different than anything that's ever been created before. That's what's available in the awaken stage. And it's not like, oh, you're an awakened being. These cycles happen, they can happen like super quickly. They can happen in the space of like 5 minutes if you really get like your whole system moving. And part of the reason why I teach body systems is because every single person has a kind of a different recipe for this. And I'm giving you the general like gist of this so you can recognize it in your own life. But there is some like very nuanced ways. So if you're recognizing this pattern in your life and it's not sounding exactly the way I'm describing it, trust your own instincts on this, which you're going to need to trust your own instincts moving forward into the next year anyway. And I'll tell you a few reasons why in just a moment. So now that you understand the 4 types of pain and the 3 stages, discover, transform, and awaken, you're primed, because we're going to be facing a lot of opportunities to discover, and it won't even feel painful if you it's like if you get in right relationship with pain, if you get in right relationship with the season of discover, that's actually going to change the way you experience the energy. And it'll change your relationship with transform, because things that have generally been very difficult for you, like writing a bunch of emails or making a bunch of phone calls or sending off all that stuff, that's kind of transform energy. And if you don't have enough of a like reason underneath you from the power of discover, it's going to be hard to make it through all of that stuff. And then to actually get to the awaken where you're delivering your gifts to the world, where you're actually like meeting the people that you serve in a meaningful way. So I'll tell you, I went through this cycle before this phone call. About an hour before the call, I felt my anxiety increase. I was like, oh, and I had to just be with the energy. I had to let it like transform me. And then when I finally met with you, I was in a very like chilled out, awakened state. But this is natural. This is a part of the natural force of creation. And so I'm grateful anytime I get an opportunity to talk about that with any groups of people, because whatever you just heard from me, you're going to be able to ripple it out into every single circle just by you owning it. You'll be walking around the grocery store and people just automatically have some kind of weird understanding that it's okay, that everything's okay. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's amazing. So now that you know, and now that you are prepared, part of the reason why it's also beautiful that you know this now is because until January 12th, Mars is retrograding through Gemini. And while that's happening, basically the part of us that wants to take action is in a state of having to sort of unwind or undo or rework something that you've already taken a lot of action on. So there could be messages you've already written. There could be projects you've already pitched or that you're wanting to pitch, right? There could be all types of things that you sort of had planned for yourself, but you've had some new awarenesses in the last couple of weeks, and you're kind of a different person now. And when you go back to the thing you worked on, it doesn't have the same kind of fire that it did, and it might be time for a change. There's nothing wrong with that. The natural cycles have these reworking seasons built in. So if you're feeling that, take the time to bring it into alignment with your new integrity and know that this is still practice for what's going to happen next year. We're still in the practice stage. This year's still practice for what is to come. So use it like that. It's like we're all in college or something. We haven't even gotten our like full vehicle driver's licenses yet. Then the level of power to manifest is about to be amped up so high that any kind of practice we can do now is going to be ideal. So in January, the energies are going to begin, or Mars is going to begin moving forward again toward March. I want to tell you, the first quarter of next year, I was going to show you my keynote presentation. I could probably just like tell you all of this, but I'm wondering if it would be valuable for you guys to see something visual. How many people would like to see the visual keynote presentation? Okay, that's enough for me. Okay, this is right now. I don't need that right now. This is December. So let me just share the theme for December. The primary thing that we're all going to need to remember is that we're going to be holding a seed of hope through discipline. Discipline will be something that we have to actively bring to the table. And it might be discipline to feel your feelings. It might be discipline to like have a present work ethic. There's something that, if you do that work, if you just do it, that it's going to make a huge impact on your life. And so the energy for December is, I have this like image of someone just holding this bright understanding, and it's a relationship with yourself that you're having discipline with. Okay. These are some key dates. I'll be honest, I'm not like trying to focus so much on the specifics of 2022 because we're nearly complete, but if you want to screenshot that, the general vibe is that it's a month to prepare us for 2023. It's a month that's like wrapping things up. We're wrapping up the truths that we've uncovered for ourselves. We're wrapping up our deepest why. All of us are getting in clear on with Neptune direct. So why am I actually doing this? Why? How will my message actually lead to my legacy? What is my legacy actually? These are questions that are just right at the surface for us as we enter December. And this Lilith opposite Pluto on the 5th, I think this is going to feel like some people will experience this as their greatest fear has revealed itself. And it especially if a person's been like really, really pushing away the pain and the fear, there could be something that just finally just surfaces. And I don't feel it's going to be as catastrophic as those individuals fear it will be. It's going to be on a personal level. It's going to be having to do with our ability to, okay, I don't want to get too granular, but essentially the way that you feel you're able to nurture your own life and nurture those that are in your life. There's something about this security issue around our ability to nurture and hold those that we love through the new legacy that we're going to be bringing to the world. So there could be some sort of change. Maybe you're like, I'll give my sister, for example, she signed up for this nursing program. She's going to need to be away from her family. Her primary responsibility and love and joy has been fully taking care of her family, but she's going to be leaving her family for this program. So she's at that cusp of like, I want to do right now. I'm going to be leaving my family without a nurturer. So she's going to experience something regarding her greatest fear around her ability to nurture and the legacy that's calling her into the world. So just know those types of themes are going to be present, and we're going to have a lot of commitment to discipline our thoughts and beliefs as we move through this. We're going to have to keep our why at the front of our awareness. And remember that we're creating what will happen. If we create that it'll be a total shit show and everything's going to fall apart because that's what we're envisioning, then we might begin manifesting a shit show. So just be cognizant of the discipline in your mind for where you let your mind entertain. Then yeah, like always in December, usually in December, there's a huge like realignment of our values toward like what we really value. So, you know, both last Christmas and this Christmas, the focus has primarily been on like, what kind of experiences do I actually value to experience and create with my family? It's like our values have changed around materialism a lot. Not that materialism is bad, there's nothing wrong with things. I love things, but we've just shifted a lot of our unconscious patterning around consumerism and materialism. And I think that this year will be even more so, actually. It'll be about things that, yeah, I'm going to stop there. So then Jupiter in Aries, this is a expansive precursor for what is going to be in full steam by July of 2023. So around the 20th, there might be this like influx of energy that really like lights you up and makes you feel like, all right, I'm here. I'm being called forward. This is who I am. Just know that that's a preview of what we're looking forward to in the year ahead. And then essentially, yeah, just know that we start the year with a Mercury retrograde. So even though our best plans are to like hit the ground running on the 1st of January, we're going to have about 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde the first part of January. My recommendation is to just take it easy. Do not be so ambitious about your January. Know that everyone's going to be in this. Mars is going to be turning direct on the 12th. You know, there's going to be some like strange energy, and people are not, it's going to feel like, while we want to get going, we want to get started, it is not necessarily going to have the full power of a start the way that we would want at the beginning of the year. Next year, in January 2024, we will really have that like it's going to feel just the way we stereotypically want the beginning of a year to feel. But this 2023 is not going to be that way. And so take it easy on yourself, be a little less ambitious, and have faith, especially if things don't seem to be coming to fruition as quickly. And we've got this window. If you're launching things, for instance, I would wait to launch until, you know, around the 20th or so of January, like the last week or so, because or enroll, but don't start it until then, because enrollment might be like, oh, I don't know. People are just going to be in a little bit of a strange state. So, what am I at? 12:47. Okay, I've got perfect. This is perfect. For some reason, I'm feeling like I need to pause. Does anyone have anything that they want to say before I move into the year ahead? If not, it's okay. I just was feeling like a weird little pause.
Is
Nope.
everybody good? Ready
Okay.
for more stuff, Similar says.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Okay. So I'm going to do some broad strokes first, and then we'll get month by month. Okay. And also, I just want to share, even though this keynote that I'm showing you is just the primary themes and the dates to look at, I have something that I created for the collective that essentially does the date, but it also has the dates and channel guidance for each of the dates. I've got this thing, and then it goes each week and it gives you like the main energy for each week. I've got a 90-page version of the keynote presentation that I'm sharing with you. So if that's something that you would like to just get for yourself, I'll make sure you know how to get it. But I do that for my clients who get personal readings from me, and I just decided I was going to start offering it for anyone who just wants to buy it, because that way you've got a desk reference, it can guide you all year long, and it's very tangible. So anyways, as we get into January, the primary dates here, I'm actually going to move this up to the top. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So like I said, you might want to wait till around the 20th to do anything, like to launch anything that's like a training or a cohesive like challenge or a class, or even like a new product or something. People will be in the state between the 1st and the 18th. People will be in a state of like, well, what am I doing? I'm feeling a little uncertain. If your job is to help give people certainty, then that actually might be a good time. Just know that you might not be feeling high levels of certainty in that time. And as long as you're okay with that and you know it's par for the course, you could still lead people. I am not going to be taking any private clients during that time. I might be doing some readings on my own time, but I've learned to have a lot of grace with myself during beginning of years like this, because there's a whole bunch of stuff on a personal level that oftentimes we like to tend to. So around the 21st, that's when I feel the energy, everyone's going to be like ready to engage again. Uranus is going to move direct. There's going to be a really strong conjunction between Venus and Saturn. It's going to feel like I'm ready to get serious. I'm ready to commit. I'm ready to step in. I'm ready to like work out every day. I'm ready to like show up every day with content or whatever the plan is. We're all going to feel ready in those first, the 20 or so's of January. And the energy for January is we see the bigger picture and we commit to our flight. So the first 3 weeks are just seeing the bigger picture. The commitment happens around the 20th. In February is we've already made that commitment. We draw the line with ourselves and we're seeing who's aligned. So I see that in the month of February, we are absolutely seeing who our peers are. Who do we want to take into the next level of our life with? This is going to be like, for instance, if you run masterminds, if you run any kind of group coaching activities, people are going to be getting to know their new peer groups in this time. So it's a really nice time to offer something like that, because everyone's going to be doing it on some level. You may as well be a container to facilitate that for the people that you serve. So there's going to be a lot of attention on who we are as individuals. It's important to really speak to the uniqueness of every person you serve. This is going to be important moving forward, because the uniqueness of each person, I want to highlight February 5th. That's going to be a key preview. The same way I told you that Jupiter moving forward into Aries around the 20th of December. These are key preview moments that are preparing us for the main event. So if you can facilitate something around those days that really highlights the uniqueness of yourself, your own message, why are you different? Why are you so uniquely created to be who you are on this planet? And why are your clients so perfectly aligned with who they're doing, what they're doing, and who they are. So that's a lot of the primary message, and creating some kind of like, the reason why people always say like, who's your niche, like get really specific on your avatar, is because if you actually describe your avatar perfectly, you're going to attract more people who completely identify with that and feel like, no, this is like the perfect thing for me, than by like making blanket statements. So no other time, it's more important than ever to be so specific about why people are so uniquely special. And I would say this would be definitely, as a collective, we're all going to be discontinuing. The words that are coming into me are like discontinuing platitudes, discontinuing things that were unconsciously accepted in our lives, but aren't actually specific to us. So the whole month is like going to be kind of polarizing. Basically, what I know about the year ahead is that we're going to be asked to step off of the line. A lot of us have been safe, not voicing our opinions or not really sharing where our true alliance lands. And next year is going to be calling us to one side or the other. Not that we're going to be polarizing against anyone, but the clarification of who we are and what we stand for will just get stronger and stronger and stronger as the year progresses. And this is the first big month where that happens. And I also want to share, I was starting with this slide actually. I also wanted to share that as these polarizations continue, you might find that people that you previously resonated with, or people that, this is kind of a strange energy to unpack, but bear with me just for a second. If you are an influencer and you are used to a certain amount of engagement to tell you whether or not your message is landing, if you're a person who's like, okay, yeah, I tested that message, I got like this much engagement from it, this is how many people resonated with it. If that actually, those metrics are actually going to start changing a little bit as we get into March and April, because people are harder and harder and harder to move from their own center of reality. So let me see if I can unpack that even another layer deeper. Basically, right now, you probably are surrounding yourself with people who generally resonate with what you believe. They generally resonate with your beliefs spiritually or economically or with values and family. And we're all okay with that. And we sometimes let that community validate us and help inform us more deeply on what we truly think is true. What's changing next year is that the inner discernment is going to become stronger and stronger as individuals are getting more personal security. As you get more personal security, you need external validation less and less and less. And the number of people agreeing with you might actually go down as your message gets more and more distilled into your truth. People will, like, the truth is something that rings a bell deep inside of us, regardless of whether or not we have ever thought it before, or whether or not it's something that we mind from ourselves. But the way that we communicate that truth might get more and more specific. And we're meant to encourage that in everyone. We're meant to say, like, even though your way of doing something might be different from my way of doing it, it's more important than ever to double down on yourself. And so as we move into this time, just know that that's it. It's a strange little turn of strategy to empower the people we serve to trust themselves and to trust their inner discernment. Like we're always doing that anyway, but there are some personal things that, like, I know I personally get joy when people are like, that totally resonates. I totally know what you're saying. I completely agree. I love all those things. And moving forward, people might seek that out and even feel a little less resonance with it because they're resourcing from their own discernment even more. So any product, service, or program that can encourage even deeper inner discernment and trust, greater faith in the thing that has no external authority. That is where we're going, because truly, when it's just us in the vehicle making decisions in real time, we don't have time to wonder, well, what would they do? Or how would everyone feel about that? We're going to have to make those decisions directly from our faith and our heart. And it's like, I don't know, all the imagery I get whenever I talk about this is like, imagine that the spaceship can only fly where your heart says it to go. And like, if you're thinking about a person, then it can only fly the way that that person flies it. It's like a weird energetic thing. The thing that's like, I'm just going to take a pause here and tell you the thing that's weird about being an astrologer is that I get to see the energy, I get to feel the energy, but I have no idea what's going to happen. And so I get these really kind of strange, abstract, like story feelings, and I have to just describe it that way because that's what I'm given. So what I know is that as we move into March, everyone's going to have to trust themselves. Like to a degree that we've never had to trust ourselves before. I don't believe it's going to even feel like calling out to get some validation or resonance from someone else. I think we're gonna need to like make split-second decisions about what is best for ourselves in those moments. And so similarly to how I like kind of knew that something big was happening in 2020, I didn't know it would be a pandemic. I just knew it would be something that would bring us into our creator ability. The theme for this next year is moving from creator ability to full on like go mode, full on like we're here. We know who we are. We know exactly what we're doing here, and it's go time. And in order for us to fully step into it's go time, there's going to be a little moment between March and July that will feel highly destabilizing. And that destabilization is going to be very, very beneficial for us in the long run, but it might challenge our faith, and it might challenge our trust, our belief in ourselves, our trust in life, our ability to be completely transparent and vulnerable with the people that we are in life with. And I am sharing this because I feel just the same way that we handle anything else. It's all an inside job. And at the end of the day, like we are the ones that show up for our lives, and we're going to be called to really show up in 2023. And it's going to start in March. So this is when I say we fully step into our faith and hold this as our discernment in March. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be some big movements. Basically, Pluto is a planet that only changes signs. The last time Pluto changed signs was back in 2008. And in 2008, when Pluto moved into Capricorn, the entire real estate bubble burst and a lot of markets changed dramatically. Basically, it was a beginning of an overhaul of our economic reality and real estate reality. So when Pluto steps into the next sign after all of this time moving through Capricorn, it'll move into a new sign, into Aquarius. It's going to burst something related to our networks, which could be communication networks, which could be our supply chain, which could be like the internet, for instance. It could be satellite communication. Like there could be a disruption temporarily to the types of networks that we have depended on so that we can actually come online in a whole new way. Sometimes we don't actually know, just the same way that I said the training wheels got taken off our vehicles and we kind of fell down, but we got back on, and then we became really strong bicycle riders through that process. There's going to be something similar to the way that we know and communicate with the field, with the people that we serve, with the people we're connected to. There's going to be something that we will know and feel on a spiritual, intuitive, energetic level. And we will only know that we have that connection when some artificial connections are disengaged for a period of time. I don't think it'll be a long time. I just think it'll be long enough that we realize that we don't need it. But in the time between feeling like we need it and learning that we don't, there may be some destabilization. So I'm sharing this, so let me also tell you, as an astrologer, I think over the last couple of years, I've had astrological complex PTSD, because every time I would project into the next cycle, I'd be like, how am I going to share this and spin this in a way that is encouraging and not provoking fear, and bringing people to a space of power and understanding, and it's been part of my mission. It's part of my mission to talk about the way the energy is unfolding in a way that does not elicit fear, because fear is going to create pain, which is, and this, I'm answering my own question. If fear is creating pain, then pain is a power source. And if you drop into it, you'll find the resources necessary to transform your life and move into a more awakened state. So my job is not to eliminate the fear, but my job is to prepare yourself and frame yourself in a way so that when you feel that, you're not avoiding it and you're not losing hope and you're not despairing. You are actually rising up as the leaders that you are. You've all self-identified as leaders. And because you are self-identified as leaders, you position yourself in your world with your community, small and large, to be that leader next year. You're being that leader already, but it's next level leadership next year. So please know that we've all been, if we're alive right now, we were made for this. This is what we came for. This is it. This is the beginning. And it's exciting for me. It's very exciting. So we fully step into our faith and hold this as our discernment. The key dates I want you to know about in March. The big one is going to be the 7th. I mean, there's lots of dates here. Just know I make videos every month. If you want to watch me on YouTube, I break these down each month and I talk about these over my Telegram, like Halen said, but I'm not going to go over every single date here, but the ones you're going to want to put on your calendar for sure are the 7th. That is when the planet that creates structure is going to move into the most unstructured, chaotic sign of the zodiac. So for the last 2.5 years, it's been in the space of Aquarius, which has increased our ability to communicate over Zoom exponentially. If you think about how much we're seeing each other, we are so easily connected through some structures that have been put in place over the last 2.5 years. It is bananas how my entire business is structured over the internet now. So that structure through Aquarius created really powerful connections. And when it moves into Pisces on the 7th, it's going to go to a whole nother level. I think it's going to go into a space of, if you've ever been driving in your car and you're thinking about someone a lot and they text you immediately, the synchronistic space where freaking things just happen because you're in flow and everything you think of just starts to materialize. So I'm not saying it'll be like that for everyone, but for those of us who have chosen to be creators, to own that, we're going to probably be able to manifest and create and materialize the unmaterialized very quickly. And for those individuals who have not gained the confidence in their materialization, energetic superpowers, they will be giving that power, or they'll be giving that faith to structures that already exist in the world. This is really important, and I hope I can communicate this properly. So there will be people creating new structures from their energetic awareness, and there will be people that give all of their faith to structures that other people are creating. So some of us will actually hold communities. We will hold huge communities of people who don't know what to put their faith in. And they might put their faith in what we do or what we're sharing with them. And the job of us is to not let that become a power that we have over people, but a power to empower them to have faith in themselves to create their own structures. That's how to be in integrity with this, because it's going to be kind of tricky to navigate. And some of us won't want the responsibility. Even if we've shown up as leaders, we might not want to take that responsibility. I'm speaking for myself right now. Like, it's a lot to show up as a leader in times of uncertainty. But I'm telling you now to prepare your heart and your faith for what you want to show up as, because people will want that kind of leadership, and they'll want to move toward leaders that are strengthening them, because we can't possibly lead all the people who are looking for something to have faith in. We're meant to empower these people to become leaders on their own right, so that they can also lead people into their own leadership and lead people into their own leadership. It's a time of the ripple effect. And for 2.5 years, while Saturn moves through Pisces, the power of the ripple effect will be very strong. So that starts on the 7th. And right off the bat, there's going to be massive healing. There's going to be some people are going to feel it on a physical level, on an emotional, economic level. And then the 23rd of March, that's when Pluto enters Aquarius. And when that happens, something will change in the arena of the way that we use the network to connect with each other. I don't know what it will be, but it'll create a minor instability in the tangible world that could create massive instability on the emotional, mental, human world. Like, I think you all remember the day that Facebook went down for a day, right? Like, everyone knows, where were you? Like, imagine that, but like a blip that's a little bit bigger. And imagine how you will respond to that. And imagine how you will be a leader for those you lead through that. It's like, if I would have had the confidence before the pandemic in what I was seeing and sharing, I probably would have prepared my community for that more fully, but I didn't really have the faith in myself at that time like I do now. And so now I'm boldly sharing what I believe and what I see. And that's why you're hearing me, because I'm actually like, hey, listen, get yourselves ready. So there will be some emotional energy that is in play in April. And I feel like if March is kind of a season of discover, then April is a season of transform. Based on everything I shared with you about the 4 types of pain, people will be feeling that pain acutely. They will decide if they're going to numb it or if they're going to work it, if they're going to feel it. They're going to be moving down into that resources of those resources. And then in April, they're going to be bursting through into transforming their lives. They're going to be making these strong decisions. And so I see new expressions, perspectives, decisions, faith, and actions. New. I've got Kali on this because I think that that's the best energy for us to embody during this time. Like, what else? Like, how are we going to claim our lives? To claim it strongly. And I also want to say, for some, everyone has a unique recipe. For some, this will be a time of retreat and quietness. If that's what you're feeling, use your discernment. Just because Christina said one time in November that you're going to be sticking your tongue out and claiming your life, that if that doesn't feel like the right mode of energy for you, you're going to throw away everything that I'm saying as the driver of your own spaceship. Okay. At this point, you're going to be fully in the driver's seat of your spaceship or whatever. And you're not going to really have a lot of people to lean on to reference. You're just going to have to make those decisions in the moment that are right for you. And so I see this month, if you imagine that a lot of people are going to be in that state, can you imagine if a bunch of people just got spaceships and they're moving the spaceship exactly the way they feel? That's going to be a little destabilizing. It'll be very interesting, I think. And for some of us, it'll be like, I'm going out to plant my carrots, like totally fine. Like it's not like going to be total chaos for everybody. I don't even think it'll be total chaos. I think it'll be whatever experiences people need or want or desire to have. So, but there's huge opportunities for newness. As we get into May, we're going to be implementing our new character, story, and trajectory. So all of the claiming that we did in April is now going to be materializing in May. And it's like, so if we backtrack January, we see the flight pattern and we're committing. February, we're drawing the line and we're seeing who's like our peer and who are we not like flying with right now. In March, we are fully committing to our faith. We're fully doubling down on what we truly deeply believe and our why. And in April, we are like expressing and creating all this new stuff. Like we're pulling it into the world, and then we're seeing it start to materialize in May. This is a moment when Pluto will begin retrograding, even though it has entered into that. We're going to start seeing like, okay, now that this whole situation is over, what are we going to do? What's the new policy? Like, how do we want to, the world is different. Like, if you guys ever witnessed Tony Robbins used to be like solely live, like huge seminars, right? And when the pandemic shut everything down, he was very frustrated. He went into the season of Discover with all of his anger because he couldn't bring his gifts to the world through these live seminars. And that moment of Discover gave him so much fuel that he invented this whole new way to have thousands, tens of thousands of people in the same Zoom room together. And he innovated that. And it like, now he's doing hybrid live and online events. Like he's created something totally new. He's a perfect example of a high scale level of what we'll do in our own lives. There will be a disruption. There will be a discover process. There will be a moment of like, there'll be I'm going to do it. There'll be an implementation. It'll start materializing. And this will be when we're like, okay, I'm tasting it. This is real. Like I've got this. I know this picture is a little provocative, but if it doesn't taste good, if it's not juicy, if it's not something that you'd want to just like relish, then you're a little off the target. Like this shouldn't be out of necessity. This should be because it's juicy for you. You're aligned with it. It tastes delicious. It feels natural. You're completely congruent with what you're doing. And it's as if you're just like tasting your life. I want to encourage everyone to remember that moving into uncertain times, because when there's a lot of destabilization in the system, the rendering portion of reality will literally deliver whatever you want. You want a tasty ass pomegranate? It's going to be a pomegranate. You want it to be like super small and stable and safe? Super strong, stable, and safe. Like it'll be whatever you want. So I'm inviting you, let the chaos moment invigorate your desire. Venus will enter Cancer this month. When Venus is in Cancer, she's like, I just want to feel everything. I want my life to sink in. I want it to be juicy. I want it to be real. I want it to be all the things. So we can resist that part of us, but I'm holding space for all of us to just let it be, because it's going to be it's going to be, another metaphor I used was like, in 2020, the wrecking ball came through. In 2021, we like poured the foundation of the house. In 2022, we built all of the structure. And in 2023, we get to decorate. Like that's where we're at with this building project. So put all the lush things in, you know what I mean? Yep. Okay. So then in June, we align with heart and soul, holding ourselves accountable. In June, it's like a testing ground. We're essentially being called into like, okay, I claimed it, I'm doing it, it's implementing, I'm tasting it. It's going to be like, can I really hold this? Is it actually, can I really bring this in to the next level? It'll feel like we might get in our heads a little bit, like thinking like, no one's ever created anything like this before. Like I've never actually like fully stepped out in this way before. There could be some of that going on. And I just want to ask you to double down on what's in your heart and soul, double down on your faith, hold yourself accountable to like holding that integrity, and I don't know, yeah, prepare, because really the month of June is going to be this like shaking moment for the big July coming out party. So as long as you can hold it together and hold your I don't know, hold your truth. I could say it a million times, but just make it through June with faith and with all the things that you've been putting into practice, because in July, that's when it's like, all right, it's go time. And the big go time moment is, where is it at? New moon, sun enters. Where did I put it? Oh no, I'm still in June. That's why it's not in June. It's in July. Okay. Okay. So in July, it's slow down to go fast and consider all the commitments. So we've got this moment, it's coming up. We're about to make this big changeover. Slow down. Don't rush anything. If you're being asked to commit to things, if you're feeling like this pressure and you're not really sure what the answer is, slow down, so that you know that every single thing you're doing is in alignment with your absolute truth. And the reason why is because the North Node enters Aries on the 19th and Venus is retrograding. These nodes are points of evolution, and they stay in an area of your life for 1.5 years, 18 months. And it's been progressively moving closer and closer and closer to the core of who we really are. We're a year into having the North Node in Taurus, which has been calling us into our deepest inner security. And once we get clear on our needs, how we know that we're thriving, our deepest confidence in ourselves, then we can actually step into the deepest layer, which is because this is who I innately am. I innately am this. And there's nothing I have to defend. There's nothing I have to do to prove it. It's as innate as a baby being born, and that baby doesn't have to do anything to be a valuable being. We don't expect that baby to walk, run, crawl. It literally can do nothing. And it's loved unconditionally. When the North Node moves into Aries, that's essentially what we're being asked to embody, but we'll do it slowly over 18 months. And we're going to start way out in the world. Who am I innately in the big bad world? Why does it matter that I'm alive in the grand scheme of things? Because of me being innately who I am. And then from this point all the way till the end of 2024, we're going to come into complete understanding of why we're innately valuable exactly as we are, why we deserve to be here exactly as we are. And there's a lot of initiation points along the way, but this is one of the major changeovers that I'm excited about, because this is the moment where, what I see, the vision that I see when I tap into this is it's kind of similar to this talk that I'm having here. I did prepare this thing, but the place I got to in my pre-meditative space before coming out to talk with you is I innately, because of who I am and why I exist, I know that whatever happens, it'll be so valuable for everyone present. Like, I innately know this. It's not something I have to question. There's something innately perfect about who I'm showing up as right now. And that is how the entire collective will be called. Not everyone will be in right relationship with that. And that can look a lot of different ways. But if you're hearing this, you're getting all the preparation up front to have you very powerfully stepping into this throne of who you are in your life. And that whole month with the sun in Leo, with Mercury in Leo, Venus is retrograding in Leo, Mars will have just left Leo, but Mars had just gone through Leo. Like, also, just to pause, today the moon is in Leo. So if you're wondering how you handle Leo energy, maybe just ask yourself how you're feeling about yourself right now. Like, what's so amazing, perfect, and valuable about you right now? Whatever those things are, that laundry list of amazing, beautiful things that you are, that is going to be so heightened in July. It'll be so flushed out. But basically, there's like a throne being built for you that you're just going to sit down in this month, and you're never going to get out of it. Like, it's like the throne of everything that you've ever like innately desired to create for your life. And that's why I actually got super excited. Like I said, I had like complex PTSD trying to like look, I was like very resistant looking at the year ahead because I didn't want any more bad news. Like, not that astrology is bad news ever, like it's always for us and all things, but I was like, oh, I knew that these big planets were moving, but when I got to this, I just started crying because I was like, oh my gosh, it is going to be the most beautiful blooming of souls that I've ever seen because of what we've grown through. And so the way that we show up starting in July, I just feel like it's like nothing I've ever witnessed before. And I didn't even have it's like, all the like new agers are talking about the new earth and the fifth dimension and all this stuff. I have opinions about all that stuff, but what's real is that I see humans really feeling good about who they really are. That's what I see. And from that place of confidence, of really feeling good of exactly who they are, there's not a gap in the field. We are just living. We're just creating. We're just in relationship. We're just tasting and seeing and enjoying and laughing. Like, we actually step into our birthright. And all of the constraints, basically, I think that like that last pain of not being able to deliver our gifts to the world gets an opportunity to be like completely healed and transformed because we see that the gift is just being here. And I think that's what is going to unfold in July, that we'll realize just having opportunity to show up is the gift. And that's it. Like, there's nothing more. So I could start crying. So there's a few other things that facilitate more of that. As we get to August, we see our grounded manifestations in real time. Could you imagine if you started creating from a place of complete like bliss, joy, and opportunity? Like, there's no need, there's no like worry that you could do it wrong. And we begin seeing the manifestations of that relaxed nervous system state. So, like I said, people will come into this congruence at their own pace. There will be people who resist this process because they don't know it. They don't know what it is. And I think our greatest gift, no matter what our business is, no matter what kinds of products or services we offer, our greatest gift will be to assure people that this is where we're going and assure people of their gifts. And I know we only have like 3 minutes left. I'm just going to share. In September, we move into our power with grace and integrity. Like, it's going to be like from July onward, the trajectory is set. And any person that's been in resistance to the trajectory, they're going to make these really grand leaps. It's like anyone who's been holding back, they can make these really huge jumps in progress during this time. And as the year continues, the leaps and jumps get grander and grander. And what I know is that if a leap, the wider the leap is, the more resources that person needs to gain and discover in order to make the journey. So our work will be to hold space for people as they go into the season of discover of the pain, getting stronger and stronger in their lives so that they can make that transformational journey into their natural being. And so we move into our power with integrity and grace. We hold space for others to do the same. There's a new paradigm of relationship that emerges as we take radical responsibility in October. Like this is radical responsibility in every single arena of our lives, because we all of a sudden realize what strong leaders and manifestors we are. We shed our old relationship roles for a vulnerable new way of relating. The South Node will be in Libra. This is a sign of relationship. There's going to be a complete dismantling of the old way of relating. I'm not saying that everyone's going to break up and get divorced, but what I am saying is that if we're not fully expressing who we really are in that container, the container's got to change. And then in December, authentic expressions of values, connection, and truth. It's like the year ends on such a strong point, with just like full on integrity. I don't even know another word. That's the word that I would want to use for all of it. So I realized I just like got right to the end of our conversation. And
thank you so much. I would love if you have a minute. I don't know if you have to hop off right now.
so yeah,
Okay. I would
everyone.
love to have anyone just like share takeaways, or if anyone has a quick question they would want to ask. I know Lisa Norman had something that she put in the chat. I don't know, Lisa, if you want to unmute and like articulate a little bit of your question.
Sure. No, that was so beautiful. Thank you, Christina. I've had the privilege of listening to you speak before, so grateful to be able to tune in with you again, and just every word of it, the way you break it down is just gorgeous. So I'm just beautiful and grateful for this. And something you said that really piqued my curiosity were these points of initiation that you mentioned. I hold space and circle and ceremony for women and reclaiming rites of passage. So I thought, ooh, those might be I hadn't heard of those framed that way before. And so I was like, okay, you mentioned one in July, and I was like, how do I learn more about these?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So yeah, I'm gonna leave my website down here. It's lunation.live. I do have, basically, I know I'm going to be leading a lot more integrative masterminds and things like that for these energies, because that's what I'm being called to do. But right now I do have, I have a free Telegram channel where I just channel. It's very like random. It's whenever the mood strikes, I just channel on there. And I think that that's a great place to start. I'm always like speaking about what's relevant in that moment. In regards to preparation, I do offer like personalized readings. So I would basically take this PDF and I would take your natal chart and I would bring you through the entire year in a more detailed way. And you would know for yourself how those initiations are hitting, and also how to frame that in a more concrete way. So you'd have that, and that PDF that I was talking about, it also has like so much depth. Basically every week of the year is an initiation, and
I feel that almost every day, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah. I'll just share. I've got this here. Basically, like I've taken the same format, but then I have it broken down here. And then each week there are these archetypal energies, and I have it for every single week of the year. So that's something that's also just available on my website. And that with those resources in place, you can get your own personal reading, you can get that PDF, you can follow me for free on Telegram. And then also each month I create videos on YouTube, which is accessible from my website.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I will be reaching out. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Christina. I also put your Instagram there because it has her YouTube channel there. And what I will say is definitely go back and watch this recording, because Christina did kind of like a half-year review for me, and I took it all in, and then I went back and really watched each month, because it just helped really like shape my mindset for what I was going through energetically, and just I was understanding more what I was going through versus like being like, why is this happening, or like what is this feeling? So it just helped me kind of like get ahead of the energy of what was going on. So definitely come back and watch this, because it will just help you just continue to reframe your mindset. There's a lot that she went over, and it's going to be a big year. So definitely come back, follow her, because she's so brilliant. And every time you share, it's just so beautiful to hear how you describe things in this just like gorgeous way. So thank you for showing up and pouring into these women. And yeah, follow Christina.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good day.